All right, we're going to make curtain wall systems. So the next thing that we're going to do is go up under wall. You should see curtain wall, and let's just draw one and see what we got. So just going to turn on a 3D view. Not much to see here, right? Um, it looks like I have a piece of glass or something like that. Is all that's being shown. There are several ways of creating curtain wall systems. One is to select faces. So if you had something modeled, say you imported a surface that's complex from Rhino, this would be the kind of tool that you would use. Um, and I'll try to show that to you here shortly. Um, and if you wanted to just come in and put specific custom grid lines, this would be the next feature so after we kind of created that, let's see if we can do that. So you'll see that I have these dashed lines either vertically or horizontally that I could then place. Now, what exactly I placed there doesn't look like much. Essentially, it looks like it just divided the piece of glass into four parts at a specific place. And then I could shift that, as needed. So this can be a great way of, if you're designing the curtain wall system, to kind of really align it with other design moves that you've made. And we'll keep going. And now, curtain wall mullions, this is where if I'm doing this kind of custom piece, then I start to select various profiles of mullions. So the mullions are um, the metal dividers, that encapsulate the glass itself. So, I'll use kind of two different things going on here. So you can see I have a very thin 1 inch mullion and then very thick 2.5 by 5 inch mullion. Mostly you'll see kind of conventionally in curtain wall systems, it'll be this thicker stuff. But it might have different dimensions, and we'll go into how to define these and make them kind of what you need. Uh, but that's kind of the basic. Now, the other way of going about it, so this again was kind of making it all very custom. The other way would be to just kind of do standard our curtain wall system. So I'm going to just go ahead and put this down again. And this should probably override this if I just go ahead and edit. And let's say I just throw in a layout that's fixed distance, and it just kind of automatically defaulted to 5 feet. So let's just apply that and see what happens. Okay, so what it did was, because this one is also being defined by that curtain wall, it went ahead and kept the horizontal, it kept the vertical that I had already put in, and then threw in dividers every 5 feet. It kind of marched from left to right, and you can see it had a gap. This isn't perfectly divisible by 5, so it left some of this, whatever, 18-inch piece of glass. This one happens to be, strangely enough, divisible by 5. I made it 50 feet, so it's perfectly aligned. So now I can always shift this, make it think about different spacing. I can say, okay, every 2 feet, I would like this, and bam, it does it. I could also go, it's not really important to me how wide, but I do need a fixed number, and that, I'll apply that. And so then to change that, I would go in here, and I could say this is going to be 12. This one I actually just want it divisible by 10. And so you can kind of custom each one to be a specific spacing. Other things that you could do, and you just need to explore. Sometimes it's just I don't want it to get you've gone to the manufacturer. They say we can only do sheets of glass that are no more than 6 feet, and so you could then define 6 feet is our max. And so it'll never go over kind of whatever specifications you're getting. Pretty cool. Also within the edit type, and I've already kind of broken a couple rules that I usually set for myself. As soon as I start to edit, I really want to duplicate and rename. So whatever this one wants to be. I will go ahead and call it that, and then start to edit all this stuff. So now you have a lot of other decisions to make. I want to have horizontal. Maybe it's a fixed distance, maybe every 10 feet. That would be a pretty typical. You don't really see it changing, but let's go ahead and just increase the size. And I'll go ahead and delete this one, or at least move it out of the way so you can see. So now you can see now that I'm higher, it's putting one in every 10 feet, starting at the bottom and going up. Now again, this could be some kind of rubber gasket between glass and supported in some other fashion horizontally. So you could have no mullions, but that's really probably not typical. So once we've now defined vertical grid and horizontal grid, we can start to put in, different profiles for the various mullions. It gives you 3 different options, and I'll just go in real quick about what they are. So interior type, that's going to be basically everything that's not on the edge. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's say that's a 1 inch. So you can see that it just got the vertical. And I'll do the same thing here for the horizontal. And you can see that it now has all of these defined. You might think you're done, but it's actually the border. So for horizontal, that'd be, I think border 1 would be down here, and border 2 would be up here. Let's just check that. So I'm going to go with something a little thicker so we can just see the difference. So I'm going to go something really obnoxious, like 5 inch by 5 inch. Okay, so that's shown up there. And then we'll do something similar on the top. Okay, that air is okay. And then we see what's happening there at the top. And we will go with the similar for vertical. So border 1 is wherever you started the wall. So I built this, I think, left to right. So border 1 would be here. And since the other one would be then where I finished the wall, so I'll just go ahead and throw that in. And voila. Okay, so the other thing to notice is that there is, like right now, it's showing vertical as continuous, and then segmenting. Even though I can select just a segment of the vertical, visually you can see that it's continuous, right? You have control over that too. So if you didn't want the vertical to be continuous, you could go to the join condition, and you could, you see the default apparently is vertical grid continuous, but it could be horizontal grid continuous. And we'll just zoom in. Yeah. So it really, that is probably dependent on kind of a design choice. You guys will probably look at what your existing building wants. I think it's vertical. And that's probably why that's pretty much the default for most people. So, well, that gets you started, and then I'll get into some other things in the next video.